Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a highly provocative framework that is going to challenge some of our absolute deepest assumptions about religion and faith. We're going to systematically break down what events, like Buddha's birthday, for example, actually mean in our modern era. And we're looking at a perspective that views humanity's spiritual evolution not as a descent into, cold secularism, but rather as this necessary, massive intellectual awakening. So whether you consider yourself deeply spiritual, totally secular, or maybe somewhere right in the middle, this framework offers a radically different lens for viewing our relationship with the unseen world. And honestly, more importantly, our relationship with each other. Let's get into it. To understand why this whole reevaluation is happening in the first place, we really have to look at the staggering data presented in our source material. Because right now, there is a massive demographic shift going on. I mean, a whopping 76% of people in their 20s, actually scratch that, it's not just 20-somethings. 71% of people in their 30s have also completely abandoned religion. The source points out that traditional religious institutions are absolutely feeling this exodus, and they're taking some pretty desperate measures to stay relevant. For instance, some temples have actually transformed into matchmaking hubs. They're hosting literal dating shows with names like I Am a Temple. And hey, matching 69 couples in 2 years isn't bad. But the text poses a much deeper question here. Are these sort of temporary, superficial fixes actually addressing the root cause of why young intellectuals are walking away from these institutions in the first place?
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The decline of religion and moving past the era of blind faith.
So, to really understand this decline, the source argues that this mass exodus away from organized religion isn't a moral failing at all. It's actually a sign of societal growth. The text frames the past thousands of years as an era of ignorance, basically a time when humanity lacked scientific knowledge and just had to rely on unquestioning devotion to survive. To illustrate this, the speaker asks this brilliant Socratic question that directly challenges our traditional holiday narratives. Did Buddha actually come? The source is challenging the literal interpretation of these mythologized arrivals. It suggests that historical figures didn't just magically descend from the sky the way we often assume. Instead, human organizations simply picked a date on a calendar to institutionalize belief. And the speaker points out a pretty glaring contradiction here. If a perfect divine being arrived thousands of years ago to save humanity, why is the world still so full of hardship? It really forces us to question if we've just been blindly believing a narrative simply because we lack the knowledge to ask better questions.
So if we strip away all the myth, what are we actually left with? Well, the source material completely redefines the very concept of Buddha. Rather than viewing Buddha as this exclusive deity sitting on a pedestal demanding our worship, the text defines a Buddha simply as an intellectual guide. That's it. A Buddha is anyone who takes someone who is lost, unknowing, or wandering, and provides them with the exact right teachings to find their path. And under this definition, there isn't just one single Buddha in history. Anyone who provides profound, society-altering guidance, anyone who acts as a true teacher for the masses, can be considered a Buddha. It completely brings the concept down from the heavens and places it firmly right here in the realm of human intellectual mentorship.
Which brings us to Section 2. Faith versus true religion, and deconstructing our spiritual assumptions.
This highlights a really profound misunderstanding in our history. The source draws a very sharp line between blind faith and true religion. In fact, it argues that for our entire history, we haven't actually been practicing religion at all. In the text, faith is described as a basic survival mechanism from when humanity was weak, poor, and uneducated, literally dropping to our knees and begging unseen spirits or deities for favors, luck, or protection. Religion, on the other hand, translates literally in the source's linguistic context to great teaching. So true religion isn't about asking for a favor. It's about standing up to receive profound educational teachings that actually foster our intellectual and societal growth. The speaker is essentially arguing that we've been stuck in this begging phase for millennia, and we've completely ignored the learning phase.
Which leads directly to this stark, highly provocative warning from the text. The speaker asserts that treating our modern, highly educated era like the uneducated past is a direct violation of the laws of nature. If you are a fully grown intellectual, but you regress to begging invisible entities to solve your daily problems, the source claims you will face 100% hardship. Literally, 100%. Why? Because nature grew humanity's intellect specifically so we could learn to solve our own problems. Continuing to act helpless when you have the tools to be capable, that is precisely what causes suffering in the modern age.
All right, moving to Section 3, relying on people, not spirits, and the focus on human connection.
So if we are supposed to stop begging the invisible spirit world for help, where do we actually turn? Well, the answer is incredibly practical. Harmony with the people right in front of you is the ultimate key to a successful life. And the text points out a pretty great irony here. Think about it. People will humbly bow down and offer unquestioning respect to unseen ghosts and spirits, but then turn right around and get into petty power struggles and screaming matches with the actual humans they live and work with. The source argues that we now live in an era where we simply must rely on each other. If you learn how to understand, respect, and harmoniously interact with the people directly in your environment, the text guarantees that hardship will simply not find you.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how it reframes the afterlife. Section 4, Private versus Public Spirits, a new spiritual hierarchy. You see, this framework doesn't deny the spiritual realm at all. Rather, it introduces two distinct categories of the afterlife based exactly on how we treat people while we are alive. We have private spirits, or saishin, and public spirits, or gongshin. According to this framework, if you spend your entire life selfishly, only caring about your own wealth, your own success, and your immediate biological family, when you pass away, boom, you become a private spirit. Your influence is weak and your legacy is severely limited. However, if you live your life for the greater good, dedicating your time and energy to improving society and helping the broader public, you elevate to become a public spirit.
The text actually gives us specific attributes required to achieve this elevated, socially focused status. It requires acting as a true public figure, making decisions that benefit the whole rather than just the few. Crucially, it means detaching from what the speaker calls private familial obsession. That's the trap of hoarding resources only for your own kids at the expense of everyone else. A true public spirit acts as a guide and a mentor for the next generation as a whole. The source strongly argues that modern intellectuals should strive exclusively to become public spirits, leaving behind a legacy of societal advancement rather than personal accumulation.
So how do we get the knowledge to do that? Section 5, Teachers, Mentors, and Masters, and the Evolution of Learning. If our goal is to become public spirits, we clearly need the right kind of knowledge. You don't just wake up on Tuesday with the wisdom to guide society. Historically, when humanity was geographically isolated, we relied on local teachers to provide basic foundational knowledge. How to read, write, and basically just survive. As we grow up and enter the real world, we need mentors to teach us the practical realities of navigating society and human relationships. But finally, in today's highly advanced, fully grown intellectual society, basic teachers and societal mentors just aren't enough to answer the big questions. The text argues that to find our true, higher purpose and learn how to serve the public good, modern adults must seek out a master. This is someone who provides that great teaching we discussed earlier, moving us from mere survival to profound, lasting societal contribution. Which brings us to the final and really the most powerful takeaway from this explainer. The source material fundamentally challenges us to stop waiting for a mythical savior to arrive from the sky and to stop begging the unseen world to fix our entirely human problems. Instead, it asks us to look in the mirror. If true religion is learning and true enlightenment is serving humanity, then the most important question isn't what you believe, it's how you behave. Are your actions today driven by private obsession, or are they serving the public good? It's a profound framework that demands we take responsibility for our own spiritual and societal evolution. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that exact question. See you next time.